O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hunting Collective. And it's good to be podcasting again this week. And I'm joined by Remi, Warren, and Tim Burnett. You may know both these gentlemen from the show Solo Hunter that appears on the television, and you watch it there. They're both, outside of being involved in that television program, both these guys are experienced hunters. They know their shit when it comes to Western hunting, and they've just got a bunch of experience to share with us all. So we're at the Sheep Show. We're at the Yeti booth. We're hanging out. It's a great day. A lot of like-minded folks walking around this show, and we are enjoying a weekend in Reno, Nevada, which happens to be Remi's hometown and the home state for Mr. Burnett. So without further ado, Tim and Remi in Reno. Enjoy. Hey, Remi, Warren.
What's up, Ben O'Brien?
Hey, man.
Checking out the Sheep Show.
Oh.
And it's in my hometown of Reno, Nevada.
You're from Reno, Nevada.
Yeah, this is my stomping grounds, where we did the Meat Eater podcast yesterday. I used to do hockey practice there in that same room.
In that room when you were a child?
Course of the
was this convention. When you were, how long ago was this?
Like middle school age.
You're deep in the Reno. Yeah. Tim Burnett's
10
here.
years ago. Yep.
Hey, Tim.
I am an implant of Reno, though.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Idaho.
I feel a lot of pressure. I'd have Reno trivia or something.
We could have Reno trivia. The first thing I would say is don't eat at the Purple Parrot.
Nothing wrong with the Purple Parrot.
Have you heard of the Purple Parrot?
No. When you guys said you had lunch there yesterday, I didn't
have lunch there. That sounds disgusting.
We flew in. It was late. We wanted sushi. It turns out none of your sushi restaurants are open past 9 p.m.
Great sushi just down the street.
Everywhere.
Like the best.
But there's good sushi, but it was past 9 p.m. There was one place open, according to the internet. We went there and they turned us down. So we just went down the escalator and found the Purple Parrot.
Oh, inside a casino.
In the Atlantis.
Oh, okay. Well, the sushi in the Atlantis is open late.
Yeah, we tried to go there and they turned us away. Bastards.
Yeah. Well, okay, now I understand where the Purple Parrot came from.
You thought we just Googled
I thought you Googled some...
Remi was super mad that we went he was like, what are you guys doing, man?
It's
so many
you're
good
giving Reno a
restaurants.
bad name. Reno has really good food, and Reno's extremely strange that it's this, I think Reno is the sushi capital of the West, and there will be people always challenge me on it. Then I take them to sushi in Reno, and they're like, "This is incredible.
This is the best."
There's guys that come in for shows, like the Prime guys, when they come in, they're just like, all we want to do is go to sushi. Just take us to sushi because it's so good here.
It's good, but it's also, you're like, okay, is it the quality of fish? Well, the quality is good, but we aren't competing on quality.
Right.
We're competing on price, quantity, with good quality. Does that make sense?
Is that the equation?
That's the equation, and that is what you're eating that, and you're like, you can have anything you want for $25. all in, like as much as you want.
So you're not full. You're not saying the best quality sushi. You're saying the best.
But the quality is as good as most places. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I think it's as good as I've had pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a few places they get like a specialty fish, and you're like, okay, like, yeah, I'm eating fluke or something, you know. But like for your standard sushi, and then just having like good creative rolls that are like the other day I was just like told the chef, I brought a bunch of guys, all the outdoorsmen, some of the outdoorsmen crew up there, and they're just like, you know, just let the chef go wild, and I mean, it was just incredible, you know. And you're like, okay, this is awesome for $25 a person. Plus you get free sake.
Now I wish I had some kind of a coupon deal for listeners or some shit.
I've got a punch card that's got a free one on it. So if you want it,
if we want to offer that to us, Tim will mail you his punch card.
No, it's for Reno only. You got
to come to Reno.
You got to come buy mine, and then I'll give you my punch card.
That's right. Don't be a cheapskate.
No freeloaders.
All right, well, we're here like in the corner of the Yeti booth. If you hear this like not soft, this murmur in the background, that's all the sheep show folks walking around, checking out. We got First Light hanging out. There's Yeti. So that's what you're hearing. But give me a sheep show story. What was your first sheep show, Remi? Because you know.
I've been coming to the sheep show probably since I was, I don't know, since I could walk maybe. I mean, honestly can't remember. It used to be at what is now the GSR in Reno, but I think it used to be like Bally's or MGM then. Like it's changed names like 3 times. Like that's how old school I go with the sheep show. I think they've been doing it for 30 years or something.
6 or something.
And most of them have been in Reno. They did go away for a little bit. They kind of did like they went to Wyoming and kind of rotated around, and then they
were in Vegas. Were they never in Vegas? Or is that SCI?
They might have done Vegas once, and they kind of combined with the Mule Deer Foundation for a little while when their members, you know, weren't as strong to do. And then it's cool to see it grow to this level, where they're back at the convention center, a big show.
Yeah, Gray Thornton from Wild Sheep was telling me they're growing like 30-40% a year attendees of this show.
Yeah,
and as you know, you guys have been to all the shows. I feel like it's one of the most fun places you can go, man. You can win a sheep hunt around every corner, but it's just a casual atmosphere, man. It's not.
Yeah, it's my favorite show. I think probably because the crowds aren't like they are in other shows.
Yeah.
But it's also the stuff that like you're really passionate about, and it's not just all sheep. There's a lot of other cool things, and the fact that I can go home and sleep in my own bed, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty good for you guys.
So. Yeah, it's like the home game. Like we're really rooting for the sheep show because I feel like it's a part of Reno every year. And now if they move it on me, then I'll be like, damn them. Damn you. That's like the Raiders going to Las Vegas, you know?
Right.
It's
now,
like,
Tim, have you ever won a sheep hunt here at the show?
I've never won a sheep hunt, no.
Do you enter the raffles and the different things?
You know what? In all honesty, I don't usually. Just random, depends on what mood I'm in that day. Like, I have some years, but mostly I don't.
Remi is a winner, right?
Oh yeah, and I do enter the raffles I've won a Dall sheep hunt here. The best odds are like the 1 more for 4. So if you got 3 sheep,
you have, don't you?
I have, yeah.
So
because you got to be present.
That, so it's
okay. So there's 4 basic species of sheep. I mean, there's a lot of species of sheep, but in North America, we classify the Dall sheep, stone sheep, desert bighorn, and Rocky Mountain bighorn. So when I was a kid, I drew a desert bighorn tag in Nevada and harvested that. I drew a California bighorn tag a handful of years ago in Nevada, harvested that. And then they used to have a half slam drawing where if you had 2 sheep, you were automatically entered into this one drawing. You couldn't buy tickets for it, and you had to be present to win. So it was really good odds. And my dad won that like 10 years ago. And the outfitter let me shoot a sheep on that hunt. He's like, as long as there's 2 legal rams together, you can shoot one.
Oh,
if you have, I had tag and everything.
Lived the dream.
So I shot a sheep then, and then a couple years later, I came here. I put 1 ticket in the Dall sheep drawing, won that, and now I'm in the 1 more for 4, which is the. They no longer have the half slam, so they have the 3/4 slam or 1 more for 4 because, So
how do they run that? So it's like you
register your sheep that you've harvested with them.
Yep.
Of the species, they give you a ticket, and everybody that's registered gets a ticket. But if you don't show up to the banquet that night and they draw your name, you're out.
Right.
One year, a guy went to the bathroom during that time.
Oh, no.
Drew his name.
Oh, no.
He didn't get it. They move on.
Gray said he was watching it live or streaming it live or something, or heard it live.
Oh, yeah. The guy was streaming it while he was going to the bathroom.
While he was
heard his
streaming.
name being called. And then was like, no, you've got to be kidding me. I have a friend.
Don't have Taco Bell
I have a
before this
friend,
event.
the 1 year he missed, he was drawn. And then 2 years ago, a guy was like, I mean, sometimes they'll go through 10 names. And you're in a room looking around going, there's not that. That's the best odds for a sheep tag probably in the world.
Yeah.
I don't know. And there was a guy that wasn't there the year before. His name was drawn. The following year, he got drawn on the third. I think it was like the third draw after the first two weren't there.
Wow.
I mean, he learned his lesson, and at least he got rebuttals.
So how they did for the hunt? Do they, when they draw your name, they're like, oh, you need a stone. You get a stone hunt. So they just have.
And they book the hunt for you.
They book the hunt for you.
Yeah, and so people donate to that specifically.
Yeah.
To keep that going, and then that money goes to pay an outfitter to book your hunt. And like, you know, if you think about, I actually just wrote an article for Western Hunter magazine about sheep hunts and drawings, because if you investigate some of the draws around the West, some of the raffles have way better odds than the state draws.
Yeah.
Like there's the California chapter for Wild Sheep Foundation has a drawing. I think it's like 1 in 150. They only sell 150.
We just screwed that up.
That's way
Great
better.
odds,
I already
yeah.
bought my ticket, so go for it, guys. It doesn't matter. Like Wyoming does something similar. Idaho, man, their Wild Sheep Foundation has some of the most incredible draw odds for a sheep tag through these raffles.
Well, I know Alaska does too. And Alaska has several different chapter events.
Yeah, and so, a lot of these chapter events have some crazy draw odds. Wild sheep, the ones where you got to be present, and even Hunt Expo next week.
Yeah.
The only reason I go to Hunt Expo, no offense, Hunt Expo, but it's to try to win a sheep tag or one of those other tags.
I won that. I drew an elk tag in Pankish Lake on a $5.
Really?
On a $5 raffle. I guess you call that a lottery. I don't know what you call that.
It's a raffle, but I mean, it's like the Alaska state draw is technically a raffle as well. So
it's a good time. Like, this is a good way to spin it, because it's kind of tag draw season right now. We'll get to the tail end of some of it, but both of you guys do a lot of that. Talk about, Tim, you start. Talk about how, if a guy, is having shitty luck on his tags, like, what are some of the things, Alaska being one for me, where it's a lottery. You could put in for 12 different animals. What are some ways around OTCs, some ways that are around the tag draw system that are just great opportunities that people might be missing out there?
So I'm probably not the one to speak on that, because I don't put in for a lot of the draws in a lot of the states. I've always been one that I like freedom, and I like to, not that I wouldn't want to draw these
but
tags.
That's still
a
good conversation.
Right?
Like, how do you hunt all over the place. What's the strategy for somebody who doesn't want to play the game?
So I'm terrible with research. So my brother helps me out a bunch with like Montana, Wyoming, and some of the Idaho stuff. And then one of my good buddies, Riley Warwood, he runs the bow shop in Nephi, Utah. He does all my Utah, New Mexico, Colorado, all of those things. And then I just take care of Idaho and Nevada for myself. But I don't put in for a lot of the sheep hunts or any of those, because the odds are you're probably never going to draw. And I just choose not to play those odds, because living in Nevada, you've got better chance of drawing a sheep tag than anywhere else. And then occasionally I'll drop into some of these raffles, but I really don't. So I'm probably the worst example. People are like, yeah, you're stupid. You're going to get better opportunities if you would, which is true. I just don't.
Yeah.
But it's because you mostly do over the counter stuff,
which
is a great, so that's a good option for the guys that don't want to play the game.
The question I was asked is like, what's the strategy? What's your strategy going into these things?
I just kind of have the core hunts that I know I'm going to do that year that are the given, and then I kind of have in the back of my head, and I have a plan that if I fill my tag in this state, I'm going to pop over to the state. So for instance, I'll put in for Montana every year. And if I draw Montana, then that's going to be my for elk. That'll be my focus for elk that September. Cause I only want to hunt elk in the rut pretty much.
Yeah.
And if I kill in Montana, or if it's sucking in Montana, I know that I can always hop over to Idaho, because I have my Idaho over-the-counter bull license, and so I can either get my second bull there, or that if the hunting sucks in Montana, I'll just move over there and
run
and try to do it there. So that's kind of how I play it. Is the over the counter is something you can generally always get, even though some of the units in Idaho are starting to sell out a little bit. But that way, like I don't know, I just thrive on freedom and flexibility, and I can call up my wife and say I just filled my tag. I'm not supposed to be home for 4 days. I'm going to pop over to here, and go hunt for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, and I do that in the Midwest too when I chase whitetails too. So,
Remi, give us I know you've got some specific things that you do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I play the tag game. Like, Tim's the pessimist and I'm the optimist.
I like
so
the
true.
solo hunter.
It's like, but I mean, the reality is most all my tags are over-the-counter tags or general area tags because, you're just chasing tags. I mean, I've got more points in more places than a lot of people, and I'm still not getting tags. But some of them, too, it's like the way that they stagger the draws, I might get a tag in a state that draws first. So I keep building points in the states that end up drawing later. Like California, I have enough preference points to guarantee the archery tag that I want, maybe double the points that I need to guarantee the archery tag I want. But that's the last draw to come out, and by then I'm already busy.
Full, yeah.
I've already figured out a plan. So I do play the draw game. It can be I see both sides of it, but I started when I was in middle, like high school, 14, 15, 16, like I would take the money that I made and save it to apply for tags.
Yeah.
And back then they didn't have like youth discounts. That wasn't a thing. Like they didn't care about their youth, that wasn't a thing. So I started applying because I kind of had a little bit of foresight knowing that how much I love hunting. And I was like, wow, when I'm an adult, I want to be able to draw a tag. The only way to get 20, 30 points is to start when you're young.
Yeah, really young.
And keep applying. So I've been doing it for essentially over half my life.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate. I've drawn 2 sheep tags in Alaska. I've drawn 2 sheep tags in Nevada.
But your Alaska strategy, I mean, that's something that people are always asking about. Like, how do you approach Alaska each year?
But I will not give my secrets. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a tough one because
where do you go?
I apply for Alaska. So for the sheep, you have to apply through an outfitter, which my good buddy Jeremy Rusink, he has Rogue Expeditions. And so, I apply through him, and then, because it has to be guided and legal and whatever. So I go through him. And I mean, he's a good dude to go with. Like if you're like, I want to go on a sheep hunt, the best hunt, the cheapest hunt that you can go on in North America is a doll sheep.
Yeah.
He has really good prices on doll sheep. And, he likes to have younger hunters. And I think that's why his prices are a little bit lower. Like
because it's a harder hunt.
He would, you know what I mean? Like, because I think you price yourself out of guys that, like
30,
you start going 25, 30,000 for a sheep hunt. That's crazy. And I mean, they're still expensive, but I would say he's on the lower end of a really expensive hunt, which if you think about, if you saved for 4 years and don't apply, like his thing was like, look, if you didn't apply in any of these states and you saved that $2,500 a year, you'd be sheep hunting, right? You'd be sheep hunting way sooner than you're ever going to draw a tag. And that's his strategy, and I think that that's actually a good strategy because you can just book it, be like, hey, I'm going in this year. I don't know. That's a good strategy too. Like if you want a sheep hunt.
Yeah.
But living in the state of Nevada, we're fortunate. Like I've drawn a desert tag. I've passed my waiting period, and now I have 7 or 8 points again. So I will draw 1, maybe 2 more desert sheep tags in my life. I will probably kill 3 to 5 rams in the state of Nevada as a resident. That's why I live in Nevada and love Nevada.
I was about to say, this is a great ad for living in Nevada, being a resident.
But seriously, don't move to Nevada. It's screwing up everything.
Screw up our freaking odds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks that listen to this. I get messages and just on the MeatEater platform, we get it all the time of people that have no idea how to start any of this. So a lot of the things we've just said are like presumptions that people understand what we're talking about when we say certain terms. How would you guys if somebody said, I live in the East, I live in the South, I live wherever, I want to come West, I want to do an over-the-counter hunt, I'd like to start putting in for draws, I'd like to start getting in the process, what are the things that you would tell someone if they walked up to you and asked that very detailed and very, nuanced question?
I think it's worth turning it over to the professionals. I mean, there's application companies out there like Epic and Hunt and Fool and all those others. For us, I was looking at their fees because I don't subscribe to any of those either, but I was looking at their application fees, and it's pretty dang reasonable to have somebody that knows what they're doing that can just have a phone conversation with you to set up a strategy. And that's what they do for their livelihood, so they're going to be a lot better at it. So I would recommend guys get aligned with someone like that if they're wanting to come out West and find out what opportunities on a draw tag. But there's a lot of over-the-counter stuff too, and a lot of that just comes from social networking and getting to know people. If you, depending on how big of balls you got, you can do some map research and just find some areas and go. And I've talked to a lot of people that are like, we went out to Colorado, we picked a spot on the map over the counter, went out and just got it handed to us.
Got our asses kicked.
We want to do it different this time, So what would you recommend? And I'm like, do it again. Just don't go to that spot. Go to somewhere else, because that's really what it takes. It's
you're gonna get beat up at least a couple of times before you hit a spot where it's worth it.
And how hard do you want to work for it? I mean, it seems like, it'd be nice to be able to just call someone up and say, where can I go elk hunting, and have them put you in a honey hole.
Yeah.
But that's the easy button. I mean, how hard do you want to work with it, and how much do you want to invest into it for the future and the long term, and to find a spot that you're gonna.
That's got to be a good point, because when a lot of people that are asking that question that just really don't have a perspective on what they're about to try to do, the thing is just be ready to work. Be ready to hit your head against the wall. Just be ready.
Or go with a guide and do it once and see if you like it. And then make a plan from there. But
I think I'll break it down like this. From this will be like a how-to guide breaking it down. All right, so you're new to hunting in the West, right? So. I get a lot of questions like, how do I play the application game? So I'd say if you want to spend the least amount of money doing it, but have the best success for yourself, I do this. You pick 3 states, okay? You do 1 state that has a random draw. You do 1 state that is on preference points, and you do 1 state that is on bonus points, okay? So preference point, you build up, and then when you apply with the highest number of preference points to a certain area, you're guaranteed a tag.
Yep.
Wyoming has that, Colorado has that, California has that. Now those preference point states, the best areas might take more than you could ever get in your lifetime, but there are decent areas that take 3 to 4 points. So you plan on those
Utah
for
has
3 to 4
too,
years out. Then the random draw states would be New Mexico, Idaho, Alaska. Put in for those, because you're on the same, starting out new, you're on the same playing field for a great tag as everybody else.
Yeah, and that playing field's not going to change.
Right.
It's not going to flip around on you.
Correct. And then the bonus point is everybody's in the hat, but the people with the more points have a greater chance. Nevada, Utah's a modified preference and bonus point state. Where else? Nevada's bonus, Montana's bonus. So those states, you could draw any year, but the longer you put in, the more you're rewarded. So you're setting up a plan of, okay, I could randomly draw something, I have something planned out, and then I have a better chance of randomly drawing something the longer I do it.
Yeah. Now,
you pick what you want to hunt, because the thing about a draw tag is you're going to have a lot more opportunity, because it's similar to hunting private land, because there's fewer people, and generally higher age class of animal, more opportunity, easier in the fact of more opportunity. But in the meantime, you do those draws, and then you resort to a general unit when you want to go.
You're over the counter backup.
I'm going OTC. I'm doing a general area in Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Oregon. There are general units in nearly every state for some species. Nevada is the only state that does not have or one of the only states that doesn't have some general unit for something. But there are, tags that might be easier to draw. So that's where you're going to get your experience. And you do that. You want to do that your first year you start applying. Be okay, now I'm going to go out west. For the planning process, I use a lot of maps, and then you're just going to have to do your research. That Onyx app is incredible for planning. Like even me, who hunts, like I used to use paper maps. Now I use Onyx maps. Like there's so many like layers and all this other stuff, and then just read articles on elk hunting, what you're looking for. Like I don't know, there's probably a library somewhere of 30 articles that I've written on how to find elk spots. I don't know how you get those, but like
you should figure it out.
I mean,
Western
you know what I'm saying?
Hunter,
Western Hunter,
a lot of places.
Like get like those magazines. Don't subscribe to the magazines that like are just about, I don't like, not even but like anything. There's stuff that like deep dives into how to get the how-to stuff.
And if that's not fun to you, you probably should just quit.
Right.
Like it's fun to me and it's interesting to me to do the research, find a spot, and realize when you get to that fucking spot that there are animals there, and you were right.
Yeah.
Like, and then that's your spot.
Well, like in my, I don't like to do like the draw research or the tag research or any of that stuff. So I turn that over to my brother. Like, but what I really, really thrive on is once I have an area narrowed down, I love digging into that area.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to kind of like, there's ways to get around things that you don't like to be in order to focus on the things that you do like. You know, so every person's going to be different, and if all of this is just too overwhelming and too daunting, like I say, you know, go with an outfitter or something and experience it. Because the thing of it is, if you're not experiencing the West and experiencing those hunts, you can dream about it all you want, but until you put a plan in motion and actually go out and do it, then you figure out if you've really got a taste for it. And when you get a taste for it, then there's no stopping.
Yeah, there's plenty of folks that just don't have the time to do what we're talking about, you know, to do what Remi's talking about. So there's shortcuts, man. Yeah. There's shortcuts to it, and then you can decide whether this is the way you want to go and what one you want to plan. If you're planning a single Western hunt every year and doing all the research starting in February, starting in January, and doing all the research, then once you draw your tag or once you have your area spotted, then you're going to continue to research that area, maybe make a scouting trip in July, and then go do your hunt in September. Like that. That's a badass way to spend your time. The
cool thing about like Remi's strategy, that's pretty much what I do. Other than I don't put in for that many states, but you can hunt elk every year. You know, I get to hunt elk every year because now that obviously I was from Idaho, so I have my spot where I go. But when you're coming out and you come out and have a great experience, guess what? All of a sudden you got your spot. You got your over-the-counter spot you can go to every year, and then just kind of branch out and expand that territory and move territories. But once you've done it once, all the mystery, all the fear, everything else is out of the way, and now it's like baller, man. This is going to be sweet.
I just moved to Montana, and I'm refusing any spots, any suggestions.
I'll tell you where to go.
Don't tell me where. I don't want to know where to go. I just want to, if I fail for a couple of years, that's great. I don't give a shit. I would much rather do it on my own, find spots, you know, wake up early in the morning, hike in, and find there's 8 other guys in there. I'd rather do it that way and be able to kind of get the intellectual property my own way. Whether it takes me longer or I get lucky and find some spots around town, who knows? But I want to go through it, you know, unfettered and just and get it.
Yeah. I think Tim brought up a good point, and it's something that I actually do as well, is sometimes like the research. I mean, like I put a lot of research into like applications of things, but I've also done that my entire life.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com land.com/meateater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
But another thing that I do is when you have a tag, you're better off to just pick an area, right? Like you can, the first time I ever went elk hunting in a fognack was not because I heard of a fognack elk. Nobody heard of a fognack elk.
Yeah, before you guys.
I knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
I randomly applied for it because I figured if I drew a tag there, then I would spend my time figuring it out. So I do that in a lot of states.
Well, you showed me that in Alaska. You're like, dude, if you just generally know what's going on, apply for all these things.
Apply for, like, pick a random unit in some place that's easy to draw. Apply for it. You're like, okay, don't worry about, is it a good hunt? Is it this? Is it that? It doesn't matter. Once you have that spot, now you've focused your energy. Like, that's the nice thing about having a unit that you apply for, is it forces you. It narrows down 9 western states into one region.
Yeah.
And from that region, now you can do your research and hunt that region. Don't get so caught up in the detail of where am I going to go? What's the best place to go? This, that, and the other thing. Just pick a random place and focus on it. You will find a good hunt everywhere you go. There's areas where people say there's no animals there. This area sucks. You can have a good hunt in that area.
And you need one. You need one animal.
Just need one.
You don't need 100 of them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
One.
Yeah, just go pick a spot and start. Just do it.
That's probably the best advice I've heard on it. It's just like
just do it.
Just do it.
Sorry, Nike.
Well,
I can't
Nike.
say.
No, you're
just
right.
get it. Just get it.
Go where you don't belong.
Just get it.
Because it just depends on what you want out of it too. You know, I mean, if you are a truly just a trophy mindset, which we all probably have friends that have that mindset, then really just the limited draw that's your strategy.
Yeah, and you've made it harder for yourself.
Which is fine.
Limited, which is fine. Now I'm not saying it's right or wrong, or it's whatever you want to do within the bounds of the law.
But if you just want to hunt every year and just rack up experience to increase your odds so that when you do finally merge into that trophy game, that you're going to actually be able to do it. You know, so I'm speaking probably more to the younger crowd that wants to kill big deer and big elk right off the bat, but you know, maybe your skill level's not quite there. Maybe you don't have the right mentors to take you in.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with just learning and hunting and experiencing hunting along the way.
We've got a lot of people that listen to this are like, I'm 30 years old and I've just started hunting, and all I see on social media or wherever I'm taking in media is dudes killing big bulls and big bucks out west. How do I get that? I'm like, well,
30 years of experience, maybe.
Man, the people you're watching have put in the experience. You're just not watching the experience. You're just watching the result and the success a lot of times. So it's to slow it down and just go hunt. Like, you can just go and do a little bit of exploration. You know, and I feel like you're already speeding it up if you're starting with elk. Like if you've never hunted the West, you're just go hunt some turkeys in the spring. Go spot and stalk a black bear. Like there's things that you can do that aren't as, I would say, intensive as elk hunting, you know, that you get to learn the country and learn the places.
You also have to be realistic of where you're hunting. I think I think a lot of people just see all these elk pictures and they're like, oh yeah, it's these giant 6x6s. If you shoot a 6x6 in a general area, you're king for the day, you know what I mean? Or the week, depending on where you're at.
Yeah.
So you have to be realistic. When I'm in, like, I love mule deer hunting. I love mule deer hunting. I love hunting big mule deer, mature bucks, good scoring bucks. That's my thing. But if I'm in an area that doesn't have those, then that's not what I'm looking for.
Well, you look at the best representation of where you are.
Right. And so you have to be realistic. When I hunt elk in general area, I just look to hunt a legal bull. When I have a special draw tag, I am extremely, extremely picky on what I shoot. And the elk that I shoot on a limited draw tag is going to be a completely different representation of what elk hunting is than another area that I have just as much fun in, just shooting a raghorn bull or cow or whatever.
When I drew that tag at the Western Hunting Expo, I felt like I got lucky as hell to draw this. I feel some sort of, responsibility to everyone else that applied to go and do my work and set an expectation that's above where I would normally be. I'm from the East Coast. If you take me to Utah and plop me in the woods, man, I'm going to hike up the mountain and see a 320 bull and whack it. Like that. Yeah. I got no problem with that. First day, last day, fifth day, fourth day, don't care. But when I had that tag in my pocket, I'm thinking I gotta switch something else on here. I gotta leave my East Coast behind because I owe it to all the people that wish they drew this tag like I did.
Yeah, but your barrier of entry was really not a lot different than an over-the-counter tag.
Yeah.
So theoretically, it could have been just like an exploratory over-the-counter hunt in Idaho, for that matter. So as long as you got the hunt out of it that you wanted and the experience that you wanted, that's good. And that's the biggest thing is I think guys just kind of have to look at this as, is hunting going to be a part of my life? Is it going to be something that I want to do for the long term and to bring my kids up in and my family or my friends? Or is it just something that I just want recognition for killing the biggest stuff out there?
That's great perspective right there, man. Like that's, What are you trying to get? And
it's like golf. I mean, do you want to do it for your whole life?
Yeah.
Then enjoy it. Don't put the stress of yourself on it that you're only going to kill one animal every 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years because you're only going to draw that special tag that often,
Yeah, man. There's so many and there's so many options. If we continue to go down just specifically in the West, there's so many. I had a outfitted elk hunt in Evanston, Wyoming with my dad a couple of years ago, and we just were like, man, let's grab a leftover antelope tag in Wyoming. Because we're going to be driving through there. Let's just grab a leftover tag, and we'll tack on 2 or 3 extra days on our hunt and see if we can get it done. We grabbed 2 leftover tags right near Lusk, Wyoming, which is up in the middle of nowhere and almost on the South Dakota border, and eastern central Wyoming. No research. We had a couple of maps. Went out there with a Garmin GPS and a map. Drove to the first piece of state ground in a unit where they said there were almost no antelope, and we had like a 96% chance of failure. And shot 2 bucks on the first piece of mile-long state ground that we came to. Was that luck? Fuck, yes, it was. but we just did it, and we had no expectations other than we'll see some cool country. We got to be there anyway. Let's see if we can get an antelope.
There's no pressure on you at all, But if you're going into a trophy area, then it's like, oh well. A lot of pressure. That's a big buck, but is that the biggest buck?
Yeah.
What am I going to get out of it?
Yeah. And in the case where you're just flipping the coin to see if there even be an antelope anywhere around where you're going to be, that's how it is. And then we spent a couple other days just riding around that unit looking for antelope, and just checking it out, and didn't see maybe we probably saw 50 antelope in 2 days other than the 2 that we shot. So, chances were we weren't going to get bucks, but we did. So
that's cool.
We take the chance, man. That experience for my dad and I will be one we remember forever. We talk about it all the time. So it's worth rolling the dice sometimes.
It's the long game. It's something that you can do, God willing, forever. As long as our rights don't get taken away. So why are we in such a rush? And I'm guilty of it too. But it's like, why do I want so much so fast? I think we just need to slow down and just realize this is part of our culture and our heritage and our lifestyle. And that's what I'm going to do with my life is just hunt and gather and enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's then it becomes a craft, right?
Sure.
It becomes a craft instead of something that you just do to get the result, the adulation or whatever it is that you're after.
Yeah. A friend of mine that I just met here with his boys there that I introduced Remi to, he brought up my younger brother, Boyd, and he's like, it's so cool how your brother is more than just a hunter. He's out there trapping beavers. And I saw that his daughter made a knife sheath out of the beaver tail that they had trapped. And then he's out there making arrows and doing all this. So he's like, your brother, it's really his life, isn't it? It's his lifestyle. I'm like, man, he's been like that since he was 12. You know, there's more to it than just going out on a hunt. There's all these little nuances that are related to hunting, and then the nuances that are related to the nuances that just create this overall general lifestyle that is that I think is pretty dang cool. You know?
Yeah, so do I. I mean, it's making those, like, it's for people that watch and listen. Making those things cool is important. Like, making those things just as trendy as going out and killing a big bull. Like that, those things are key, because it's those little things that you come to appreciate. Like pickling the gizzard off of a fucking duck or something is like just as cool as
Pickled duck gizzard.
pickled duck gizzard. You like that, Remi Warren?
I've never had a pickled duck gizzard. Sounds good though.
I had one at Renella's house the other day. It's pretty good. Or maybe it was a goose gizzard. One of the two.
Well, I just like them in butter and onions.
Yeah. Well, you guys have to bear with me. I'm testing out some segments, right? Normally we just talk and bullshit like we're doing now, but I'm testing out segments to see if people want to hear like actual directed conversation, or they just want to hear bullshit. So the first segment that I'm working on, it's called First Timers, and you guys got to tell me. We're going to start with your first car. Just describe your first vehicle, who gave it to you, and the experience. Remi, take it away. You're in Reno. You're here in Reno, Nevada.
Let's
paint the picture.
If you knew me when I got my first car, it was called the Rambo truck. Ooh. It was a lifted 1985 single cab Dodge Ram with it was painted. Base was a matte tan.
Ooh.
And I did my own desert camo on it. Right,
as you would.
Rambo truck, and it was lifted. I think I had 35s on it.
Oh yeah, it's like 6,
and no sissy step. You know what I'm saying?
If you didn't have a mullet and a cowboy hat, this story needs to end right now.
And I had a toolbox in the back that I could lock and put my bow in or whatever, guns, whatever. And then I got a caravan camper shell for it, but I'd already camoed it, so I did. Then I painted the whole thing like green, and then had the caravan camper on it. So it was
what
like
shade of green are we talking?
Like an olive green, like slick looking, and not matte. It was a more shiny finish, had a little bit of sheen to it, and that truck was just an off-road beast.
And you got it when you were 16. You buy it used?
When I was 17, because well, that was the thing. I had the option of driving when I was 16 or getting a Winchester 300 short mag. So I used my money to buy a Winchester 300 short mag because I was like, I can continue to borrow vehicles, but I can't borrow a Winchester 300 WSM, which had just come out. And I wanted that gun. And so I got a Browning Able stainless stalker 300 WSM for the price of a used truck.
That was your first truck. Right?
Well done. Now, when you're taking ladies on dates during those years, how would you get them up in the truck? Would you have to?
It was like a jump thing.
Would you have to tell them to jump, or would you put your hand down, or would they step on your hand to get up in there?
No, he'd push them by their butt. Right?
Yeah, push them in their butt. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It just depends. I'd drive up to a hill or and then I actually had
he only dated short women.
Yeah,
just for the
I actually had to give my neighbor. I would give her rides to school as well, and like at one point, you're just like screw it, and just like kept a step ladder in the back like a stepping stool. But yeah,
Rambo. How long did you keep the Rambo truck?
I had that until I was probably 20-something, because when the gas prices started going up, it just got, when gas was under $1 a gallon, it was super easy to, like, it didn't really matter.
We're around the same age. When I got my license, it was like 85 cents a gallon.
Yeah. So, and then it jacked up to about $2, and you get like 6 miles to the gallon and can't fit anybody else in it. So then I got what are they, like, from one of those police auctions where they like repo stolen whatever. I got a Ford Ranger out one of those for $1,400, and it was like pretty new. It was a pretty solid deal.
I had a Ford Ranger. That was my second vehicle. Ford Ranger Edge, like 2002 maybe.
Ooh,
like that.
Did it have the step side?
It did have the step side.
Was it red?
Yeah, it wasn't red. Mine was black.
Mine was red, not because I wanted red, but That was
That's
what I
your
got.
hurdle.
Yeah.
You're a flashy type of guy. I can see that.
Red step side, and it was low. Like I went from a high truck. I could have drove over this Ford Ranger in my other truck, but it was an off-road beast too. Like they were pretty good. I wanted a little bit smaller vehicle to navigate the hills a little better.
Those Ford Rangers, man, they'll kick ass. They kick ass off road. Do it right. Tim, what about you?
So mine, I don't know what year it was, like a 1980 or 82 Toyota pickup, the small one, whatever they were called way back then. It actually, I think, used to be my grandfather's truck. And then my parents ended up with the truck at some point. But it was broken down in the backyard. The muffler was off. There was no hood on the thing. And my dad said, if you can get that truck running, then you can drive that to school. And so me and my brothers went out. We ended up getting this truck running, but it didn't have a hood. So I would drive it to school with no muffler on it. It was the loudest thing that you could ever imagine.
Tim.
Yeah, it's like, oh, here comes the Burnett's in the Toyota. So in shop class, I got this idea that I wanted to build some bumpers for it. So Mr. Roach, he found me some like 9-inch round steel that I made these bumpers. And I remember the rear bumper weighed like 360 pounds or something. The front bumper was just this giant, bar of steel, and I just welded it to the brackets. And I had that truck for about 2 months. My brothers and I were out bahawing in the back field, and the battery bounced out or something, landed on the motor, just zapped and just blew up the entire thing. And so that truck was pretty short-lived under my reign.
You didn't put the battery back and put a hood on?
No, I had the hood that I was messing with in shop class, and I didn't know how to get the dents out of it, so I just filled it with putty. And so it was just all cracked and broken, and so pretty much 90% of the time we just left the hood off.
Left it off?
Yeah. So it's pretty redneck-ish.
What year was that then? That you were,
That's a long time ago. Like 89, 90.
Paint the picture. Did you have a mullet? Were you full redneck, or what are we looking at?
I was the butch kid because growing up on the farm, mom cut our hair or grandma cut our hair, and there was enough of us boys that it had to be an event that didn't happen very often. So they shaved us all the way down like they would a sheep. And we would wear that for a month or two, and then we'd get shaved again. So
just shave you like a sheep every time.
That was my hairdo until I think junior high. I finally wore a spike hairdo because one of my buddies had a flat top, and I wanted a flat top, but mom couldn't figure out how to, you butching it, so it was like a round, spiky flat top.
Remi, I got to hear about what's your high school attire memories? Like, what's your signature look? You had to have
Oh man, well, signature look. I don't know. I was jeans and anything that didn't have a logo on it.
Yeah,
I was really weird about. I didn't want to be. I couldn't fit into any logo, so I was like, I'm not a Nike guy.
Be yourself.
Yeah, maybe I would. I don't know. Maybe I have like a. I think I wore vests. Now I won't even put a vest on. You're kind of a vest guy, but
I got a big vest thing going.
I wore the vest a lot, and then I can't vest it up anymore.
I wear a vest because I
gave it up.
My sister-in-law is in high fashion, and she told me third piece, which means
that's a scarf.
Like a scarf. So
an
I was
ascot.
An ascot. So you could maybe start wearing an ascot.
Do gloves
scarf,
count?
but third piece is it's a very big deal in the fashion world. So I thought I'll just wear a vest.
My third piece is the hat, and I've worn a hat every day since I was 8 years old. Isn't that weird?
Pretty much.
I don't know if I've ever not I don't even recognize myself.
In the live podcast to turn it around backwards.
Someone's like, take your hat off, and I was like, I just don't. But it's a weird thing to think. Like, I've had a beard since I was 18.
12.
And, I started shaving when I was 12. And then I've had my parents wouldn't let me have, but it was kind of wispy, when you're 13, 14. and then.
Mine still
is. And then the hat. I would take it off for school, but as soon as I got back in old Rambo, that hat came on. Yep. I would park off the. I wouldn't park at school because I would never have a truck that didn't have a gun in it. I always thought that was sacrilegious. To have a truck that does, and I had the gun rack in the back, but I didn't put gun in unless once I was boonie bashing, then it was guns in the back, But I thought it was like sacrilegious to have like a good truck that didn't have a gun in it.
I don't think that was an issue at our school. I don't ever remember. I mean, we had gun racks in the truck and everything.
It was definitely an issue at my school.
Was it?
Because I feel like I was in coming of age in high school right around the Columbine thing. So I was the happy recipient of all the restrictions of all the shit they were trying to do after Columbine. And so there was like, we couldn't wear jackets in the hallways when I was, you couldn't wear like a long jacket or a jacket. You had to get a pass to go to the bathroom. It's like, you couldn't have a gun anywhere near school, let alone in your truck.
See, my elementary school was at the time it's outside of Reno, and it was a lot smaller. Now town's like moved out to that area.
Yeah.
But where I went to elementary school, I think I was probably, I don't know, what grade are you in? 10, about 4th or 5th grade, whatever.
Like that, yeah. Middle school.
For show and tell, I brought my single shot 410, and the principal's only thing was, don't bring it loaded.
Oh my gosh.
Like my dad had to be like,
days.
my dad came in and like dropped it. He's like, you can't keep it here, but you can bring it in for that. And just couldn't be loaded, and I went over
Did
gun
they check
safety.
You? They checked
yeah, we checked it, and I did the show and tell and told the class like never point at anything you don't intend to kill, like
the
talked
NRA
about
safety
my
rules.
first hunting experience 2 years earlier with the single shot 410.
I like this.
Isn't that funny? Like,
Well,
you could never do that today.
when we were kids, we talked about it on another podcast I did, but they used to, at a certain period of time in the 5th grade, I think, or 6th grade, it was like, well, now it's hunter safety time, this week. And so in the schools, you'd go and you'd do hunter safety. Driver's education was the same way. It was like, it's time. Everybody's going to go do it.
Well, yeah. I mean, in Pennsylvania and Maryland, you get off for opening day of rifle season. You got off school. You're off school like the day before, I think, and the day at like the Friday and the Monday, maybe something like that. I can't remember.
That was spud harvest for us.
Yeah. Yes. now you're being Idahoan.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we could get off school for opening day, like opening day of hunting season. You go off school. You cannot imagine that right now. And I'm 33. I'm not talking like long time ago.
yeah,
either.
it's not that long ago.
No,
but things
a
have
little bit over a
changed so
decade.
fast, and so it's just weird. And there still are places like where
think
Tim
so.
grew up. They probably haven't changed much.
No, they've changed it. Now they go to school 4 days a week instead of 5. They don't do hunter safety in school anymore. They don't do driver's ed in school anymore. But
Damn.
I think they still let you out for spud harvest. So,
Well, you got to keep that tradition alive.
yeah.
The spuds must be
For
harvested.
the school, I think the school's probably the same size. There's been no growth. It's just different people, ones that stayed alive.
Well, my next part of this was first rifle, but we already know Remi's first rifle.
No, that wasn't my first.
That wasn't your first rifle.
No.
Okay, give us your first rifle.
The first rifle I ever received was a youth model Remington 700 in 243, topped with a Burris 3-9. No, not Burris. Bushnell. And I give Bushnell a lot of shit, but that scope. Or I'm privately giving Bushnell a lot of shit.
Whoops.
Just amongst small circles.
Yeah,
Just amongst us
when you're
girls.
out there, you just whatever. But yeah, that was a good scope. I still have that setup, that rifle set up that way. I was gonna swap it out, maybe put a new stock on it, and short barrel. It's got the open sight scope over the top.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was good. And I
they
shot.
do that anymore? Do
Um,
any companies advertise the open sights and the scope over the top with the open rings?
Yeah, Sacco does.
They do still.
Yeah, they've got. Well, they're bigger bore rifles, but you can order them.
Probably just because of the European running game situation.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, man, you can shoot really accurate with some open sights.
I know.
I
know.
I'm thinking about just going open sights on some open sight. How much more fun is it with a rifle to stalk in? The long range thing I've done. I mean, I was in that crowd that was like pioneering some long range hunting. Let me tell you. But once you've done it, now you're kind of thinking, man, remember when I just used to hunt with open sights? And I also had about the same time I had an open sight 30-30.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I would swap on my first deer hunt, taking the open sight 30-30 and the scoped 243, depending on the type of terrain that I was going. Because if I was in the tall sage, we're busting up bucks. We're going, we're swinging and shooting.
Lever guns,
lever.
brah. Yeah, I started hunting with a Hawken 50 cal, a freaking patch and round ball, spitting on the patch, dumping the powder. put the round ball in, put the little starter. That's how I started hunting. So it was open sights for quite a while until I got my first rifle, with a scoped rifle at least. So that's how it started for me. What about you, Tim? What was your first?
I used Dad's. He had a Winchester 30-30 lever action that I used on my first 2 deer, actually. And then he had also a 223 over-under hinge action. So it was a 223 20 gauge, I believe. And I killed a couple of deer with that when I was in high school.
Was that a Stevens or a...
I want to say Thompson, but I don't really know for sure. And it had one of those, bronzed Burris scopes on it or whatever it was. So I kind of went back and forth between those. And then when I was a senior in high school, I bought a gun from the neighbor down the street from Bart Wanstrom. It was a 30-06 pump Remington, no scope, and he sent me a 10-shot clip with it.
Oh yeah.
So I remember the first time I thought, I'm going to go out and just run through this clip as fast as I can with this pump action 30-06, and that didn't feel very good.
Remy's dad is here.
He just walked by. He's on the phone.
If I had another set of headphones,
Remy's stories he can tell.
Know. He's gonna.
You want a good podcast guest? That's the guy.
Yeah.
He's got some wild stories.
He's going to be able to
and if he doesn't have a good
all
story,
the shit you're saying right now. Make sure we're telling the truth.
Exactly.
He's going to tell stories that Remi doesn't even remember, I'm sure.
Well, the Rambo truck was originally his truck. That was our hunting truck, and then that got passed down. So it's a long line of loving like Rambo big trucks. I named it.
You named it Rambo?
You have to name a truck. But okay, here's a question. What was the name of your first truck, or the names of your vehicles, and can you name a new vehicle?
It's hard to name a new vehicle, but if you want to have a personal relationship with the vehicle, you kind of have to give it a name.
O'Reilly Auto Parts are in the business of keeping your car on the road. O'Reilly Auto Parts offer friendly, helpful service and the parts knowledge you need for all your maintenance and repairs. If you're confused about what part you need, like what wipers are going to be the best, what replacement headlights are going to be the best, go into O'Reilly and talk to the people that work there, because they're great and they're super friendly, and they'll get you squared away where you walk out knowing you got the right thing. They've got thousands of parts and accessories in stock, either in-store or online, so you never have to worry if you're in a jam. Do you need your windshield wipers replaced? You need a brake light fixed? You need some quick service? They'll help you find the right part or point you to the nearest local repair shop for help. The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts are your one-stop shop for all things auto do-it-yourself, and you can find what you need in-store or online. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. That's O'ReillyAuto.com/MeatEater. You ever get that feeling you're stuck inside staring at screens and a primal urge kicks in? You crave wide open spaces, fresh air, the chance to connect with the land. Well, maybe it's time to find your own piece of the wild, but searching for property can be a maze. That's where Land.com comes in. They got millions of listings across the country, from mountain ranches to hidden fishing holes. Their search tools are like a seasoned guide helping you narrow down what you want. Land.com isn't just about buying and selling. It's about finding a place to hunt, fish, explore, or simply sit by a campfire and listen to the crickets. So head over to Land.com today to turn one day into today, because trust me, there's nothing quite like the feeling of standing on your own piece of earth. There's nothing like snook hook sets at dawn or catching a tarpon in the moonlight. Find your next fishing trip made easy on fishingbooker.com and experience the magic of the Sunshine State or any other destination on your fishing bucket list. Book a blue water adventure in search of sailfish or go snapper fishing with the kids. With over 6,000 captains and trips to choose from, planning your next one just got a whole lot easier. Download the Fishing Booker app on the Google Play or App Store, or visit them online at fishingbooker.com to book your trip today.
I name my guns too.
I name my guns. I have some
guns. A gun to get a name for me has to have like a lifetime of like.
Is it female?
Badassery.
Or are we going female or male names?
Yeah. So I only have one gun that that has a name, but I could name my shotgun, but I just haven't.
What's the gun that has a name?
Hannah.
And that's my wife's name, man.
Oh, well.
Back off.
Yeah, sorry. But Hannah's just a bad bitch. She's, Hannah's shot.
Gets it done.
Yeah, because, I use it hunting for myself, and then I also use it as my guide gun, giving to other people, and I've taken it all over the world. That gun shoots great still. I haven't shot the barrel out for somehow, and I don't even know. That gun you just point at what you want it to knock over, and it's like a clean kill every time.
I think I killed my stag and my tar with
did.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Sweet gun.
Very few of my friends have not rode Hannah.
Well, sorry, honey. You got any named guns, Tim?
No, I don't name them. I named my kids.
Yeah.
And I did name the
kids.
Solorado. That was I had that truck for 15 years. I named the Solorado. But she's since gone away, so I just don't.
My first vehicle, listeners will, of course, know this, but my first vehicle was they call it a Summit Eagle, but it was like a car van. It was like a little minivan.
Rapey.
Yeah, it was a bit rapey. It was like periwinkle blue, and it looked like if you cut it in half, you'd have like a sedan on one half, and the back half was like a van. So we just called it the car van. And you could fold the seats down. You could do a lot of stuff with this thing. It was very versatile.
I'm picturing
vehicle.
a hearse for some reason.
it was like a hearse.
I'm picturing a gremlin. What are those? The gremlins?
Oh yeah,
that's what I'm picturing.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to Google it and show you guys what it looks like. It's a very impressive vehicle, but I drove that for probably 2 or 3 years. Of course, I inherited that from my brother, who inherited it from my grandfather. So it wasn't. It had a bit of a reputation.
Did it have a name?
It didn't really. The car van.
Car van.
The name of it. It was a Summit Eagle. It was very. I'm not embarrassed by it, but it could have been better. It could have done better.
So no other vehicle names, just no names.
I don't think any no. I thought about naming my new truck, but I just didn't feel it. I just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it had any history to it.
It might.
Might later on if I give it to my kid. Maybe he'll name it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it to my kid in 15 years, and he'll name it something.
We had the Rambo truck, the Scorpion, which was a 1980 Land Cruiser.
Oh,
that. It was Scorpion because we had a gambrel game hoist on the back. That thing was tricked out for off-road. Then the Beast, which was an F-250 in the style of Rambo truck.
Your dad, your dad's
my dad
man.
just builds. He built that's his hobby, is just making off-road vehicles.
Has he lifted his new truck yet?
No, because he's got his He just gets project cars, I guess, and makes them into something cool and gets rid of them, and then again and again.
From
and again.
the
stories that I've heard about your mom and her game spotting abilities, and then now your dad. I feel like you had the most badass parents.
Oh,
possible.
For sure, yeah.
This is a top shelf experience.
Top shelf experience, yeah.
You've done well.
Oh yeah,
you've done well. I think that's it for the first things. I think that covers pretty much. We've learned a lot.
I like that segment. That could get
you like that? You think that should be a regular recurring situation?
If you got a guest like Remi, they really could tell good stories.
Yeah,
sure,
we got a good storyteller.
Get a lamo like me, I wouldn't go down that road.
You're fine. People don't want to hear my first every episode. I got to say the same thing. And we'll see how that goes. The other one I was thinking about is hacks, hunting hacks, shit that you do that no one knows that you've just developed over the years. I'm sure both you guys, being solo hunters and running around by yourself, have developed things that you're you had a problem and you solved it. And you solved it in a way that is repeatable for other folks. Something in your pack, something in your truck, some kind of trick of your trade that you'd be willing to share with the audience.
I feel like I have a lot of them, but just to think of...
Just think of one. You're on the spot.
One. Okay. Well, this is... it depends. If I'm filming, I've got a million different hacks for hunting and filming.
Yeah, give us... that's perfect.
Oh, you know what?
You guys have revolutionized the hunting and filming yourself game.
I'll tell you, this is just a hunting hack that if you don't do this, you're an idiot.
Yeah, don't be an idiot.
Yeah. Here's it's more of a rule, a bow hunting rule. And I think a lot of people have this rule, but there's some that don't. And I've been on hunts with people that don't have this rule, and it's bit them in the ass. When you're bow hunting, your release is either on your bow or on your wrist. There is no other place that release goes. It doesn't go in your pocket. It doesn't go in the seat of the truck.
Yep.
It doesn't, when you go to the bathroom, it doesn't get put anywhere else than on your bow.
I'm trying to think if we ever hunted together and I did this, you're calling me out.
I know there's nothing worse than hiking in 4 miles somewhere, especially when you're guiding, and you go, oh, there's a bull bugling down there. And the guy goes, I don't know where my release is. It's a pet peeve.
Well, with like a thumb release or, like a lot of these, the ones that Dudley's putting out there, Carter puts out there, you have to kind of, when I leave the house to go to work, I go keys, wallet, phone. Like anytime I take any break in hunting, I'm usually going like release. If I would toilet paper.
I would put a paracord on that and strap it to my something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's actually not a
put a paracord and
idea.
put it around your wrist. I don't know, but
there's so many releases out there that aren't attached.
Yeah, and that's
to your wrist anymore.
Then you're gonna have an uphill battle for the rest of your life. Every time you go to the bathroom.
What release are you running? Are you running?
I have the
wrist
same
strap?
release I've used for since I started hunting. Scott Mongoose, I guess. Yeah. It's probably, I think, 12 years old.
Maybe that's a suggested hack for listeners. Like.
Yeah, figure it out. Yeah, I mean, now, okay, create a system.
Yeah.
And I also, when I'm in the hills, I have a system. So you keep things in the same pockets. So when I get up, I can do a quick pat, and I know if I have everything or if I've set my phone down.
That's where I'm
get in the habit of doing the hack pat.
Be paranoid.
The hack pat.
Hack pat. Be paranoid about the stuff that's in your pockets. Like
exactly.
I gotta have I'm always like, I gotta have where's my Garmin? Where's my always. Paranoid.
Once you change it, that's when things go south.
Especially if you're running Onyx nowadays and your phone is like a bit of your lifeline in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Get one of those D-clips or something, clip it to something. Make sure you have it where you can't fall out. Because we were hunting in Lanai, I was running the FHS bino harness and the freaking thing broke and
we spent a long time looking for those
my
binos.
Prototype loophole binos fell right out of my bino harness and into the dirt and then gone forever. Probably some local probably picked them up, using them now. But they were good. I like those things.
Yeah, those were cool.
So that happens. Tim, you got a particular hack that you like to prescribe?
I don't. Along those lines, I try to keep everything in the same pocket all the time, or the same. If I change packs, it's always in the same general
Do you have a filming? I'm interested in the filming conversation too, because you guys do it so much and you do it on your own.
Yeah. I get asked that a lot, and I think because we do it so often that I don't really think about what I do that's different than what anybody else might do. It's more just repetitive nature and doing the exact same thing for so long and just kind of having a system of where everything goes. The camera's always set up regardless if it's in my pack or on the tripod. It's all we set up where it needs to be. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's more just repeat. Getting comfortable with it. If something changes, and that's when your mind goes and you start screwing up. So
have you developed over the years with types of cameras you're using or the types of tripods you're using to film yourself?
Yeah, I think the biggest transition was when we kind of moved from using just a handy cam to a DSLR, or I did earlier than Remi. I think you're still using that handy cam a little bit, aren't you?
No, I went DSLR before you went DSLR, but then I went to handy cam. I reversed because I didn't have so I went handy cam when I got that new it's a long story, but
handy cam. So you're running DSLR now, though?
Yeah, well, I carry 4 cameras and I've got 6 hands.
Remi
so I do
likes
it all
to
at once.
frustrate the editor because he'll use 4 different cameras and then just give me a hard drive and say, you should be able to figure out the order of everything.
Yeah, it's cool. My system is when I'm stalking in on something, I set the tripod up ahead of time. That's the hard part.
That's
getting
your system.
The tripod set and have the camera running.
I like it.
And don't let your release clink on the tripod.
Yeah, I always hold my release in my hand with the tripod and these 2 fingers.
A lot of release.
I know it's hard. I'll bet there's a lot of little things that we do that if we thought about it,
if you really sat down and
other people might not think about it, but because we've done it so much, it's
what I should start doing is I film the stalk while I'm stalking. So I set the camera up, I crawl forward, I crawl back. Most of the time when I get in on a deer, I've stalked it 3 times. What I should do is just BS it and stalk it after the fact. But you never do it. You'll never go back and do it.
You won't.
So you have to do it when you do it. Otherwise,
what you do different is because I edit your footage and he's not lying. That's exactly how it is. He'll do a stalk 2 or 3 different times, and I can't do that. I just have to turn on a camera somewhere so that there's a camera running somewhere while I'm moving. And if it's just filming the dirt or my feet or my head or whatever. I'm always filming as I'm moving in, but I don't have the cojones to sneak in and then sneak back out.
I snuck into 30 yards, and I was like, man, nobody knows that it's 30 yards, but I just do it just because that's how I am.
We've been talking about that a lot on this here program about how like hunting is just the one thing. If you're talking about sports, somebody's watching you.
Yeah.
You can't bullshit that. If the puck goes in the goal, the puck goes in the goal. In hunting, you certainly you're creating the narrative.
I'll tell you, I want to release sometime, which I probably should, like just the raw footage in its original time code, so someone could look at it and say, "Whoa, they didn't fudge that." That was recorded before the kill happened. And there's times too when I'm editing that I put it together, and then I feel like it needs something, and so I'll look to a piece that might be 3 days after or 3 days before and pull that piece in to kind of make it flow a little bit better just from a cinematic standpoint. But
well, how do you tell a 2-week story in 22 minutes?
Yeah, that's concise.
It makes sense. Man. You have to pull from other things, but you have to get all that stuff while you're because one stock, you might be able to only show one of the 23 stocks.
Yeah,
but you need pieces that show that one stock, and it might be 3 stocks combined when you're editing, but they were all one stock.
Sometimes, usually not. Yeah, usually it's all
depends how aggressive I'm being when I'm filming.
I think our philosophy all along has been we're not out there to create a film, or we're not out there to create a hunt. We're out there to document an experience. Document a hunt, and so I think all along we've always put the episodes together in the order that it happened and as it happened, regardless, so the first stock that Remi blew, it might have been the best footage, where he sets up the tripod and the deer's on the other ridge and he sneaks up and pops up in frame, that might be the best footage. And then the kill shot might have been nothing, it might not have been any filler foot, but that's just the way it is. We use the cool stuff when it happened and the reality of the kill as it happened. So.
Yeah. Well, that might be a good way to close this one out so we can get back to winning sheep hunts. Best solo hunter story, best, maybe not best episode, but the best story you have from your time filming yourself outside. I'm sure that's a laundry list of things that you've done. But is there one, Tim, that stands out that it just was above
best?
All?
No.
Maybe the coolest, awesome. Just one that comes to mind.
Oh, or so a mishap.
Something crazy.
Anything.
So this year, I don't know. This year I went to Kodiak with a buddy of mine, and we camped together, and we'd split off and hunt throughout the day. And as we left camp that morning, we wanted to go after some caribou. And once we got up to this ridge and glassed where these caribou were, or reindeer actually on Kodiak, he's like, no way in hell I'm going that far, to do. And I was at that point, I was like, this is the first day. I want to go get one of those reindeer. I don't care. I can pack it out all day tomorrow. That's fine with me. So we split up, and I went and did that, and the herd kept moving further and further away, and I ended up, I work in and I kill this reindeer, and I look back, I'm like, I'm 5 miles from camp, and when you're on that part of the island, it's really muskeggy and marshy and just really crappy to walk through. I crossed a ditch that's, chest deep, and I had to get the caribou back. I didn't want to have to do that twice, so I deboned everything, put it all on the pack, and just took it out in one trip. And it was like 300 yards to get to this creek, and I got to there just fine. And then I actually got buried in the grass because I couldn't find the crossing, because it's like, if you can picture, it's like a canal bank where there's no easy slope into it. It's just a drop off, deep water, drop off back up. So I found this one spot, and on the way back I couldn't find it. So I had to take off my pack, unload everything, until I found that, and then I had to ferry that across. Well, it took me like 3 hours just to get everything across the creek. And by then it's getting dark, but there was no way I was going to go back there. So that, I think, was just a really strenuous pack out that I was just laughing at myself the entire time. Like, what are you doing? Just call Austin and have him come help you, Yeah. But it was kind of just this mental
by myself.
barrier.
I'm doing it by myself.
I'm like, screw that. I got to do this. And we both actually walked into camp about midnight. He had a load of blacktail, and I had a load of caribou. And it was that was like super, super memorable,
Yeah.
That's most recent. There's a lot of them over the years, but I have holes in my brain, cheesy brain. I can't remember any
cheesy
of that
brain.
Stuff. Yeah,
cheesy brain.
I can't remember.
No, I think it how has it changed you to do, spend that much time by yourself out there filming? I would openly admit to being like being around people is as much what the hunting thing is for me as anything. So I'd openly admit to be like, I like hunting by myself, but I also, there's a lot of times where I love the big camps and big vibes. So like, how is doing it this way kind of change your perspective?
I think my preference is to be with other people.
Yeah.
I like hunting alone for sure, but I love spending camp with people. But it's not, it's not the way that the things happen. It's not the way the show went. And the thing that I really enjoy about the solo part of it is it's really taught me some mental fortitude, and I think it's made me think about things differently. And it's kind of made me more stubborn in a lot of ways because now I look at every aspect of my life and I feel like I can do it on my own, and it's almost to a fault where you don't ask for help or you don't accept help when it's offered. It's like, screw that. I can do that. No problem. And part of that is really solid and good. And other parts of it is like, maybe you need some help every once in a while. But I think for me, I like that part because when I do accomplish something like that, there is no other euphoric feeling in the world of when you walk into camp at midnight and you just hauled out a caribou and you did it on your own, and whether it's an elk or whatever it is, when you accomplish something on your own, that's on you. There's nobody else that can take credit for that, and so that is extremely fulfilling. Extremely.
Yeah. Well, and then you get to share it with a bunch of people.
Yeah, if you
do it right.
If you're filming it.
Yeah, if you do it right. Is that a part of it for you too? That always interests me, like the motivations. Once you film for a long time, kind of what you've been a content creator for a long time, like how that like shifts your hunting motivations, whether it does or not. Not saying that it does, but
without a doubt, if I'm not filming an event, I don't get as much out of it.
Yeah.
Just, and I've done it. The biggest bull elk I've killed, I didn't film it because I wanted to just go kill a big bull elk. And even though I got an awesome bull, it felt unsatisfying because it would have really been an easy situation to film it. You know? So for me, undoubtedly, I love the filming aspect of it. I love bringing it home and creating something that I feel is of value with that. I love sharing it. I love getting the feedback. I like praise of when something goes good. And honestly, I like negativity when it comes of, hey, maybe you could have done this different. Because, Remi and I had this conversation at lunch the other day. I genuinely want to be better. I feel almost insecure at times because I want to be better at what I do. And if I'm not filming it, I have no form of reference to look back on and say,
that's a great point.
Hey, I can be better. I can hunt better. I can film better. I can produce better.
Yeah. No, I think it's for you too, Remi. I mean, I think it just, once you've put content out there consistently and that's how you hunt, that's what you do. I feel like there's no other way than to have it change you a little bit, to change your motivations, intrinsic, extrinsic, whatever, to change the way that you see these types of things. You have thoughts on that, Remi?
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely changes the way you look at things, especially because, like, bow hunting or whatever, it's hard enough endeavor as it is. Then you add the filming aspect and the spot and stalk, and it makes it so much more difficult. But now, like, on some hunts, I've just been like, I'm not going to film. And I realize, wow, I am a much better hunter than I was.
Right?
Because you have to pay attention to so much when you're filming. It's almost like it's too easy when I'm not filming.
Yeah, it's like running a marathon with a weight vest on.
Right.
Or something.
And
like
then
you take that weight vest
off and you don't have this handicap. And you're like, I don't even know if I'm into this as much, as the filming adds such a challenge that it becomes more of like, okay, it's almost like going from bow hunting to traditional hunting or something. Like it's that added challenge that you're like, okay, I kind of crave this added challenge, and it kind of lets you know, man, how much you've learned along the way, and by doing a task that's hard, even and making it harder on yourself. And the other thing is just the self-control thing of when I go on a hunt and have the intent of filming it. If I don't have that intent of filming it and commit to it, I won't do it.
Yeah.
So I have to say, no matter what happens, I'm filming. And there's been hunts where one of the best deer in my life, I had to let go within bow range because I couldn't get the camera set up. And that is like, I still kick myself over that. But I also am stoked that I really committed to it.
Yeah.
In some levels. Now I may never draw that tag again, and that really makes me sad. But and somebody else shot that deer, and that made me sad. But it just happens.
Yeah.
I would say my most memorable.
Yeah, close us out with
I'll give you a most memorable solo hunter story.
Yep.
All right, so I've done a lot of stuff, solo in New Zealand, and I'm like, okay, and I found this new spot, and I'm going to go tar hunt. I load up my pack. I'm going to be gone for a while. I've got, when you're packing in for solo and filming, I've got 2 cameras, all their batteries, recording, audio stuff, batteries for that, batteries for this, the whole kit, plus my camping gear, plus everything. My pack is extremely heavy. And then you got to think, okay, I'm going to be packing something out. It's going to be even heavier.
Yeah.
And I'm going to probably do it in one trip because this is a pain in the ass. So I find the spot. It's about a 6-mile arduous hike. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to film because the stuff's in my pack. I was like, I'm just going to film once I get, 6 miles back because just put your head down and grind sometimes, There will be plenty of opportunity to film. So I get back there, and it was a gnarly hike. I'm back up on the mountaintop. I set up my camp, and I did some filming. And then I'm sitting there, and I spot this bull tar. And I'm like, perfect, right? So I stash some stuff in my tent, and I go, and I turn the camera around to film the tar. And I look, and it's flashing no memory. And I'm like, oh, my card must be full. I didn't have a memory card in the camera. So I dig through my entire pack. No memory cards anywhere. None. I just was hitting record because I couldn't see the screen when I was setting up camp. And I had hiked all the way in there, no memory cards with all my equipment. And I'm like, screw it. I just left everything in the tent, went up, shot the tar, packed it out, loaded up my pack, and that was my punishment of just trudging back.
Didn't you have some cell phone
I got some
footage
cell
of that?
phone footage of it. I was like, I got all the way up here. Just like and I literally was like, I'm going to film this really well, and I'm just going to commit. I think I had all my big lenses. It was one of the heaviest pack-ins I've ever had, and one of the heaviest. My pack was probably 80 pounds going in. Like, I literally have like a long lens like this. That lens, I don't even know.
Yeah,
takes
you
up
had the Sigma, didn't you? The
Sigma
500
lens,
millimeter?
that thing,
Oh
and
my
I had.
God.
I
You
had
were thinking at the time,
I had
like
3 lenses, 2 cameras. I'm like, I'm gonna go in and just do something I haven't done before. Is just like not go light. I'm gonna go on a backcountry hunt and honestly just kill it this time. Just get footage nobody's got of these things. Like this Sigma lens, and then I had my spotting scope. I had all my shit. It was the heaviest. It was like packing an animal out in, and then I shot an animal and backed it out. It was that was a funny adventure that no one will share in.
That reminds me of the time that we recorded a podcast
with no memory card.
No memory card. That brings it right back home.
Right back home.
One of the first podcasts ever. It was probably like a year ago.
It was a year ago next week.
A year ago next week. Remi and I recorded probably the best outdoor podcast ever to be recorded. No one will ever hear it.
The
Lost Files.
I listened to the B file. I missed the A file. So.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, boys, let's go win some sheep hunts. You down for that?
Perfect.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Ben.
Appreciate it.
See you. That's it. That's all. Episode number 48 in the books. Remi and Tim, thank you for joining me here at the Yeti booth. All these wonderful products, Yeti products. They're happy, since I'm a former employee, I think they're happy to have me around. Or maybe I'm just a burden. Who really knows? But you guys know Yeti. They're great. And Tim's great. Remi's great. What a good conversation. Appreciate those boys sitting in. Appreciate them tolerating my my discovery on segments of what works and what doesn't. Here on the podcast, we're always trying to make things better. But I hope you learned a little bit about Western Tags, a little bit about the life and times of these two interesting men, and you can follow them on Instagram. You can check out Solo Hunter. You can check out all Remi's work and all Tim's work all over the place in our industry and world. What else? As always, right now we just did the first ever, not the first ever, but the first for this tour for the Meat Eater Podcast Live. We're going to be continuing to go to towns near you. So if you go to themeateater.com, you click on events, you're going to find a schedule there. And that schedule will tell you where we are and what we're doing and exactly when we are doing it. So go there, check it out. And then when you're there, hit subscribe on the newsletter. And then also go to the shop. Check out the Hunting Collective merch that's in there, intermingling amongst the Meat Eater merch and the Wired to Hunt merch and all the awesome gear that Meat Eater Incorporated has cobbled together for you in a great way. So I would just want to close this episode by saying, as always, thank you for listening. And our traveling to the shows and our traveling to SHOT Show and our traveling to Sheep Show, I have been able to run into a lot of you that listen to one of our podcasts or all of them, and it has been motivating and inspiring without trying to be too melodramatic. It's really it is inspiring to talk to people about what they love to do and how they're affected by what we do. It's really amazing, and a situation I never thought I would find myself in, but now that I'm here in this program, is something that I'm doing. I really just enjoy the interaction with all of you anywhere we can get it. So continue to write in on Instagram, to email me, continue to provide that feedback because we want it, and we want all of it we can get. Also, hey, wherever you listen, iTunes, wherever that is, go there and leave us a nice review or a mean review, whatever you want to do. People tend to do both. Leave us a review. Go to iTunes, go to the Hunting Collective page, and leave us a written review about what you think. We want to hear from you there, and leave us a star rating, as it were. That's my only task, other than all those other things I said. So until next time, thanks for listening to the Hunting Collective. Bye-bye.
You ever get that feeling the walls closing in, the concrete jungle suffocating you? You crave some wide open spaces, the chance to connect with nature, maybe in a spot all your own. Well, head over to land.com. They've got ranches, forests, mountains, streams, you name it. Search by acreage. You can search by location. You can search by the kind of hunting and fishing you're dreaming of. Land.com. It is where the adventure begins. Hey guys, turkey season is in full swing right now, and if you are planning on getting after it, make sure to pick up some Meat Eater Phelps turkey calls to stuff into the old turkey vest or into your fanny pack right now. I carry a few different things. I like to use mouth calls, and I like to use pot calls. Mouth calls or diaphragms, I like them because it gives you hand-free calling, meaning when you're working a bird up close, you can have your gun on your knee, finger on the trigger, ready to roll, and still be making turkey sounds. I like pot calls because I just like pot calls. I enjoy calling with a pot call. Whatever direction you go, including a box call, which I don't personally use too much, but they're fun and great, and I started out with them. Yanni, on the other hand, one of my main turkey hunting buddies, he loves box calls. And what's funny is I'll now and then look to him and give him the look that means get out your box call and find us a turkey. So it's not that I don't like him. I just have Yanni use his. Then I don't have to carry it. Go to Phelps Game Calls. Get calls that are made in the USA and get calls that'll get them close. Find yours at phelpsgamecalls.com today.